have ultimate success. And Kobe applied that. So it's just interesting when I think about Kobe, I think about a guy who really just used the simple elements of success, but embodied them fully.
Yeah. That's a long time between Muhammad Ali and today, which is why I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I think he's one of the most inspirational. But I think about Magic Johnson. I think about when he was, when he contracted HIV and the profound effect that he had in going on with his life, continuing to play, continuing to be a beacon for the world at a time when that was a death sentence. We didn't know anything about it, but it was it was this foreign homosexual disease, and here was Magic Johnson, who was out front with it. And I think that that was inspiring to people in untold ways across the globe. And we didn't have social media then, and we didn't have the end of Magic Johnson. Whereas with Kobe, we have this sudden full stop, unexpected. And we have the ability of a Tom Brady to speak his mind on his platform when he feels it and to spread that to the world. And so for that reason, do I think Kobe is there? Yes, but I don't want to ignore the impact of someone like Magic Johnson at his time.
And I'll agree with you on that from that perspective, because there's been many inspirational players that have come through. But I think what guides us towards Kobe is because we really began to start to know him later in his years. Excuse me. We knew his mentality when he played as a young man coming in 1996, drafted by the Lakers, wanted to be the best. But we never were able to dig into who he was personality-wise. We got bits and pieces of it. We heard about the stories, but we didn't know. In today's world of social media, you know everybody. You know about Steph, you know about KD, you know about Bron, because it's out there. With Kobe, it was still this air of mystery around him outside of the game of basketball. We knew he loved basketball, but what did he love outside of that? We got a glimpse of that. And I think the young people, too, in regards to the ones that are playing basketball, football, baseball now that kind of grew up in Kobe's era, Kobe was there to bridge the gap between Michael Jordan's back end and LeBron coming in. And sprinkled in between there, he was in there with Shaq and Tim Duncan, but he bridged that gap. And I think for any athlete that looks at it and says, I want to be the best at what I can do, he was an inspiration of how to stay focused to do it, because everybody can't do it. I don't care how much we want to say it, we've all been there, but to be able to be singularly focused on that goal is hard to do. But I would put him in that category of he's one of the most inspirational since Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, no, it's no. But again, when there's death.
No, why though?
Why is he not?
Yeah.
Well, because I think there are more inspirational players in history since Muhammad Ali. Like Pat Tillman, not as great an athlete as any of these guys that we're speaking of, but when you talk about what his commitment was and what his ultimate sacrifice was, being the son of someone who served in our military in Vietnam, Pat Tillman is the first name that comes to mind as most inspirational. Reggie White comes to mind.
Great.
The Williams sisters come to mind.
Tiger Woods?
Not as great.
It's not really so much about, to me, throwing out names.
Yeah.
Sean Taylor was one of my teammates.
Man.
And I experienced a super influential, misunderstood young man before death. And death, the tragedy of it especially, forces you to look at things that you never wanted to look at. If you have any ounce of sympathy, you look at things that you never looked at. And I think that that's what's happening here with Kobe. We have now forced ourselves, because of the sting and just the total disbelief of what took place, we're forced to look at ourselves. And that's where the inspiration comes in, because now, because you want to relate to such greatness, you start to look at what he did that was so great, and you start to apply it to yourself. And then that becomes the product of inspiration.
I'm going to say this. The thing that moves me here is Tom Brady and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had a very intimate relationship with Kobe. I'm assuming Brady had a little bit more distant relationship than Michael Jordan with Kobe. And to have the greatest of all times, one stand up in front of a crowd and give an awesome eulogy, break down in tears, talk about being his big brother, and then to have someone from afar who's the greatest in his sport, I couldn't think of a better eulogy than what Tom Brady wrote here. If, as a human being, I hope someone says something like this about me. No, it's probably not going to happen, but my God, this is the way I would want to be remembered. It's incredible. And again, I guess what I think about, I think the Pat Tillman was a great one. I think Magic Johnson's a great one. I don't know if there's some others on this list, but this is perfection to me, how to be remembered, leave a mark on society.
It just shows impact and in the many directions and many ways that it could go out there and have that effect. For me, it's not in this conversation, but direct impact was Junior Seau because he was the most talented, had the best heart, but also the humblest mindset, which was something I'd never seen from all the greats that I played with that could really go out there like the 53rd man mentally, but physically be the best one on the field by far and still have that big of a heart. So it's funny that everyone is forced to respond when there's a suddenness. And I'm gonna make light of this, but it's real to me. Being a DJ, there's two ways to bring in a song. You could drop it on the one or you could blend it in. Now, we're talking about a lot of people who have blended lives. Magic Johnson still with us, blended lives. That's great, but you can feel it coming and there's not this suddenness. But then there's the guys, unfortunately, like Pat Tillman or Kobe, like a DJ would drop it on the one. Next song. And you know what it does? Physiologically, you are forced to react. Right now, emotionally, we're forced to react and think of ourselves because the next chapter has occurred without notice. Yeah. And everyone is now thinking about their own mortality in ways and terms that never before. All I say that for is it sometimes makes you go to a place that you will subside from. And right now, we're all emotional about Kobe. But then there's going to be a moment, unfortunately, the next song will play. And the next song will play. And I want to keep that in context as we display it.
It's a great transition. And you've already answered it to some degree, but answer it a little bit more. Will Kobe's stature continue to grow in death?
One, you got to respect fully where his stature is right now. Like the day before Kobe died. Have you ever seen Kobe Bryant in China? Just Google Kobe Bryant in China.
Crazy.
It's insanity. The level, the magnitude of greatness. So I answer this by saying no, because I'm comparing it to what Kobe is right now and where will it go. This navigation of legacy takes precision. And it takes the fuel of the individual who created it, who we know is more than a basketball player, who has a creative mind, who was now dabbling into investments and into his foundation and to his academy. Who is going to navigate that, not just properly, but precisely like Kobe would? I don't think there's a person out there. I say no.
I do believe it's going to grow because of the way that he handled it at the end, that he inspired others, that he was a proponent for the WNBA, that he was a proponent for Sabrina Ionescu, that he created this legacy of not just of being a girl dad. He went way beyond sport. He went to personal relationships and how do we treat each other and how do we raise our kids. And that, to me, I believe is going to resonate and only grow bigger and stronger. And I have no reason to believe that the Mamba Mambacita Foundation or what Vanessa does or just the memory of that, because it's not just that he made this perfect turn and he pivoted into being a parent and a coach and all those things, but that he died with his daughter, that it was as tragic as it was, and that he was headed to a game. I mean, it's a little bit like Roberto Clemente and the way that he died. Like, that resonated forever, and that's why I believe this will, too.
I think it'll grow, too, just because the legacy of what he started to create will be ushered along by, I think, the players behind him, whether that's baseball, football, basketball, the charities that he started to fund and be a part of will also, I think, embrace his legacy a lot more. So even in death, he will still be able to grow, I think, a lot more. What he's done with women's basketball, somebody's going to pick that up. But they're going to pick it up under the tutelage of what Kobe Bryant started. So it always refers back to Kobe being kind of that beacon of light at that time.
It'll always be called Mamba mentality.
It will always.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
You know?
It's like a storybook, right? Kobe has been the author of an amazing story. He's taken us on an amazing journey. The tragedy of his daughter, Gigi, being associated with him going home, people are going to continue to write on those blank pages. That's the best way I can put it. There's no way with the legacy that Kobe Bryant has left behind, with a lifelong of stories and journeys that Gigi would have took us on if she was still here, that as many great people associated with Kobe Bryant will leave those pages blank.
Look, Ric's explanation is why I go back to, I think he's the most inspiring since Muhammad Ali. When you start touching people and their approach to how they parent and what kind of father they are and what kind of athlete they are, he's in so many different lanes. His message, again, and that's why I believe Tom Brady translates. It translates to everybody: white, black, rich, poor, athlete, non-athlete. If you're a parent, if you care about humanity, Tom Brady has articulated why Kobe's legacy is so humongous, because it's more than just sports. And again, no disrespect, Pat Tillman, I get the sacrifice he made for this country, but I don't think it touches on fatherhood and some of these other things that Kobe does. And I do believe, like, it's going to continue to grow, because Mamba mentality isn't just sports. It's everything. And it applies to every facet of life. Women, men, young people, old people.